ask all the participants to take the seats. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome you at this breakfast morning debate. First of all, I hope we'll have a great breakfast together. Thank you very much for joining us at this difficult hour. 8 o'clock, it's not an easy time in Poland to discuss very important issues, but we will challenge you with this today. My name is Małgorzata Bonikowska. I'm president of Center for International Relations, the organizer of this debate. We can do it thanks to our partners, and I'm very grateful for this kind of cooperation we have. Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Poland, Debata, of course, the organizer of the whole forum, EFNI, and Konrad Adenauer Stiftung, our partner from Germany. Particularly this debate and the brochure is possible thanks to financial support of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, particularly the Department of Public Diplomacy, under the umbrella of the grants given to foundations to be able to discuss the international affairs. The topic is under umbrella of the citizens' participation in the foreign debate. We have 5 topics today to discuss. That's why you are sitting at 5 different tables, but of course we will have a cross discussion as well, I hope. The main topic is a very simple one. Future of Europe, something which we all like to know about. We'll do it in English, however there is one table here which gives a chance also to speak Polish. If people prefer to speak English, there's no problem. We have also a current translation going on for those who need it. We divided this Future of Europe subject into 5 different issues around which we think there is a major discussion today. Of course, discrepancies and challenges among 28 countries, there are many. We selected 5. And a short description of this is, you find it in this booklet. It's both in Polish and in English. So, for those who are not very much aware of what is going on in the EU, you will find a very short summary inside it. These 5 topics are energy, and particularly energy security, very, very hot and important issue today. The dilemma between green Europe and climate change policy, and the necessity of having growth and reindustrialization of the continent. The dilemma between growth stimulation and austerity. Then Eurozone and the future of those who are in and those who are out. And finally, foreign and security policy. Of course, different interests, many values around it, and behavior of different countries versus the third countries and international surrounding. These are the 5 topics we want to share the views around. And we do it with help of our distinguished guests today, who decided and agreed to help us to understand what is going on. Let me introduce them, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for accepting our invitation. Energy will be discussed with Mr. Janusz Reiter, our former ambassador to Germany and to the US, and founder of Center for International Relations. Janusz, thank you for joining us today. And Mr. Przemysław Piesz from the Foreign Ministry of Poland. He specializes in the energy area. And of course, here in this table, if you can talk Polish, please, do it. If not, the summary will be given by Lewiatan partner, Jakub Wojnarowski. Thank you, Jakub, for taking this important job. This is energy. Green Europe and competitiveness. We have table 2 here. Thank you, sirs. Thank you, gentlemen, for accepting this invitation. Mr. Paweł Wojciechowski, our representative in OECD and the former Deputy Minister of Finance. And Mr. Paweł Rabiej from the think tank, Dialogue and Analysis Center. and Mr. Pascal Horry from University of Sorbonne. Thank you very much. Table number 3, here. Austerity versus growth and stimulation. We have here Professor Danuta Hibner. I don't need to introduce her, our first commissioner and currently member of European Parliament. I'm especially grateful that she decided to be with us today. Nevertheless, they have a very busy schedule in the Parliament. Thank you, Professor. And Mr. Jeffrey Gedney from the US, from Georgetown University School of Foreign Service. Thank you, sir. Then table number 4. Here we have Eurozone and the future of banking union and the future of those countries who are out and who are in. And we have with us Mr. Marcin Nowicki, sorry, from the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung and also the Gdańsk Institute for Market Economics. And Mr. Samuel Rutz, who came from Switzerland. He represents a think tank, Avenir Suisse. Thank you very much. And table number 5 here, common foreign and security policy. Mr. Günther Verheugen, thank you very much for accepting this invitation. I don't need to introduce Professor Verheugen, of course, for all the Poles. He's the best known as Commissioner for Enlargement. And today it's Professor at the University of Viadrina. And Mr. Lukas Macek, thank you, from Paris. He joined us from Paris, Sciences Po. He is Czech, but he works for over 10 years, right, in France. So these are our leading speakers. I hope the others will join the discussion. We will do it in the following order. After I finish, then I ask one person of each table to shortly tell us what's going on in Europe around the subject we selected, where are the main lines of the vision, and also where are the chances to go together. Then we will try to give us 15-20 minutes to have breakfast. I hope you will enjoy it. And of course we discuss the subjects in the tables, so silence, we will not do it at the floor. And after that, I will ask another person from each table to sum up the discussion and to tell us where and how we can jointly do something in Europe together, despite the discrepancies which divide us. I remind you, those who don't know the subject, please just consult our data. Okay, that's it. And I start with table 1. Janusz, please tell us what is going on in Europe as far as energy is concerned. Please speak to the mic, and we will do it in English because everybody has to hear that.
From here?
Yes, from the table.
Well, thank you very much. I don't know, I guess those who are staying in the hotel have in their rooms a kind of energy drink. This is for those waking up early. I wanted to send out a message to all of you: do not waste your money for this energy drink. We will give you a powerful shot of adrenaline with this panel. Energy and energy security, of course, is an ideal topic for offering a shot of adrenaline to people in the early morning, especially in Poland. But this is, of course, a European issue. And to just come to the point that Małgorzata raised, this is energy security has a potential of to integrate Europe and a potential to disintegrate Europe. It depends on the way we approach this topic. It depends on the way we discuss the topic. And it depends on the way we try to come to common solutions. We have two trends in Europe, I believe, and that's in many countries. We have one trend toward more European integration, but we have also at the same time a totally opposing instinct to come to a sort of national autarky. In some countries, even more, you will find communities that seek a sort of sub-regional autarky. In Germany, Günther Verheugen knows that very well. even small entities dream of energy independence. I think it's also important to make the distinction between independence and security. The goal, as I understand it, is not independence. The goal is energy security. It is not an easy job because we have many differing realities in Europe. If you look at Poland, the reality of the Polish energy sector is different from that of France or Italy, and of course even more of Spain. And we can either see this diversity as an obstacle, or we can see this diversity as an encouragement for a diverse model. To give you one example, which I believe also is part of the energy, can be part of the energy security in Europe, this is renewable energy. Renewable energy can be developed in much more business viably if it's done internationally and not in the local national markets. Another example, of course, that is of particular importance to Poland and to the Baltic states, but also some other new EU members, is gas supply. And this is the idea of, but not only gas supply, is the idea of the Polish proposal of energy union. We agree on a few principles. We agree that we want energy, we want security of supply, we want affordable energy, and we want energy that is ecologically acceptable, environmentally acceptable. These are the three principles we accept in Europe. And now, from this point, we have to come we have to agree on mechanisms, how to strengthen the bargaining power of Europe, and how to make Europe a continent whose economic power is much bigger than that of many suppliers of energy. And like in security policy, Europe is on the one hand enormously strong, on the other hand it is weak because it is not well organized. So to find a way to well organize Europe in the energy policy, that's the challenge that we are facing, and the Polish idea of energy union is a proposal to encourage this debate, and I look forward to hearing interesting opinions on that, at least at this table, but of course we are open for contributions from the neighboring tables. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Janusz, very much. And now I ask Paweł Rabi to give us feedback concerning green versus... Paweł Wojciechowski decided to do it. Okay, perfect. Versus industrialization and the challenges of economy.
Yes, we are both partners, so it's not difficult for us to change. And I was very happy to hear about the free drink. Well, energy is not free, so I'm happy to hear that I will
Green Tiger.
Yes?
Green Tiger.
Green Tiger, so I'll be looking for that.
Green Tiger, it's not free.
Okay. So I'm very enthused to have such important people around here, like Danuta Hibner and Peter Verhoeven, who actually we've heard about your report about the effect of climate policy on competitiveness because of course of the increase of energy prices, and which lowers competitiveness for the European Union. In fact, International Energy Agency has calculated that the cost of electricity is about 4 times higher than in Europe than in the United States, and 3 times higher, and the gas is 4 times higher than the US. So that gives you the idea of how much we can lose by having the high energy costs. Of course, we have this debate here in our table between energy energy policies versus climate policies versus economics and competitiveness and industrialization. And we tend to be over years quite ambitious with the goals set for 2020. Now thinking in Europe about goals for 2030, with cutting with 40% cutting emissions of CO2 emissions vis-à-vis the floor of 1990. And going forward to Paris conference in 2015, the key question that we pose ourselves is that whether Europe should be all the time a leader, the primus inter pares, having only a contribution of 11% to all global CO2 emissions, having India and China polluting more than Europe. Should we be more ambitious, and before even the global arrangement in Paris is reached? Or should we wait a little bit, like Poland is saying, or maybe should we be very ambitious? As far as the business is related, the key questions would be as well, what schemes work well, which schemes don't work. We know that ETS doesn't produce the good price signals. We have seen some ideas on ETS, how to redeem the ETS schemes, the certificates, how to put the floor like in UK, and that caused the electricity prices boom. But at the same time, there was no signal to invest in renewables. So renewables have to be. Another topic is how renewables could be subsidized, whether they should be subsidized, and at what cost. Because 17% subsidies, that's a heavy cost. At the same time, we have other types of subsidies in fossil fuels in different countries. Mainly 2/3 of them goes to oil subsidies, and how reconcile the two types of subsidies. Of course, those subsidies for fossil fuels are meant to address the competitiveness issues as well as distribution effects. So the key question to us is, should we factor this in this equation, economic equation, and therefore we would like to also discuss the issue of what to do with that if the cost of energy because of climate policies rises. How to think about industrialization, how to think about not losing the edge in the world for Europe. So this is our idea for this debate. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. Now table 3.
I'm former ambassador. I'm sorry.
Former ambassador. Thank you, Pavel, if I may. Professor Hieper, big question of austerity or growth stimulation.
I already forgot the word austerity and you're bringing it back, but I would like to start by saying that if you ask me about the situation in Europe with regard to growth, what I probably should start with is just saying that there is really a worrisome situation in Europe from this point of view. It is good to remember that compared to 2008, we lost in Europe more than 1% of our GDP, but that was more than 20% for Greece or around 7% for Spain and Portugal. So without any doubt, not having growth today in Europe is something that we should take very seriously. We have a downward investment trend. We have growth very low in Eurozone, even lower than on average in the European Union. We have, of course, hardly any inflation. We are well below the European Central Bank target, which is 2%. So the risk of something that politicians try not to use this word, which is called deflation, is quite serious. It is on the horizon, and it is alarming. And we are, of course, very unhappy. And I'm saying that because we have Jeff Gedmin here with us from Georgetown University, that we are also sort of unhappy that US is well ahead of us with regard to growth, even though the Americans normally criticize also the situation and the economic situation in the United States. So now we have basically two scenarios. It is very simple. Either we continue with stagnation, and we all know the consequences of this. There will be, of course, no new employment. There will be the creeping loss of competitiveness. So it's better not to think of this scenario and not to take it seriously. But if we don't want this scenario, the other one, which is growth, which is probably gradually, with some delay, also employment, and which is also improving competitiveness of European economy, we need what we would call as economists pro-growth policies, strong pro-growth policies. Growth will not come, will not happen. I think this time around we cannot just wait and see. There is a need of strong strategies and strong pro-growth policies. And I think that there are certain elements in those pro-growth policies that are a minimum for this to happen, because there's nothing like a silver bullet for growth policy. So what are those elements? In the European situation, without any doubt, we need a good policy mix on the macroeconomic side, and we hear it daily from Mario Draghi, from the president of ECB. This is what monetary policy now in Europe is the one with which we will not have liquidity, we will not have credit to the economy, so the whole thing of financing and also confidence of investors will not come back. But we clearly see that after years of using basically all the available traditional monetary policy instruments, plus entering into completely new territories of negative interest zone, of all sorts of new instruments which Mr. Draghi is proposing, including the asset-backed securities and a lot of others, which for the German Constitutional Tribunal are quite a challenge to absorb or to digest. We need a good coordination with fiscal policies, and that's what recently we have heard for the last months from the ECB, that without getting from member states also a reaction in terms of creating and using smartly the fiscal space, monetary policy will not make it, even though we are very, very close now to fully fledged quantitative easing. So this macroeconomic framework is absolutely fundamental, and in this framework, the new thing which we don't have yet is commitment of member states to use the fiscal side of this equation. And as we know, there's no reaction for the time being. Ministers of Finance recently have not even agreed on what type of crisis we are now in, because it looks like there's a new kind of recession after the one of 2011, which is around the corner, but we are still discussing what type of measures it might require on the member state side, on this fiscal policy side. But then we also need to work on the supply side, without any doubt, supply side of our economy, to enhance, first of all, productivity. And this is, as usual, there's a lot of controversies about that as well. We have a lot of instruments on the EU level. We hope that with the new Commission we will have a new push towards the internal market, especially in the context of SMEs and SMEs' global competitiveness. But we need also a lot of structural reforms, not only labor market reform, but also in the area of research, in the area of education. So this capacity of European Union, I think, to move strongly towards structural reforms is a precondition, because I think the lack of appetite for structural reforms, I think, makes also the new bargaining on growth model impossible. And then let me mention also one more factor. I'm looking at Peter Chase here, because we just 2 days ago had a discussion on this in Brussels. There is one factor which deserves special attention. It's not going to generate growth tomorrow, or even in 2-3 years from now, but for the midterm and long-term growth is absolutely fundamental, which is the negotiations between the European Union and the United States of America of the new trade and investment transatlantic agreement. This is something without precedence. We never had anything like that. And from the point of view of how it can contribute to growth, it is for the first time that we are aiming seriously at regulatory coherence, regulatory cooperation. So really reaching out to barriers that exist that do not allow us to use fully the potential of the trade and investment across the Atlantic for generating growth and competitiveness capacities on both sides and new employments. And what is worrying, and that's why I'm also mentioning it, that we see here and there opposition arising in different circles. I hope that Winter will be able also to comment on that. Also, we see it in Germany, so we have to look seriously as business community, I think, working together with politicians, that we have this agreement in place on time. So just to finish, to sum up, we need a kind of new bargain for growth in Europe. That's absolutely clear. We need this new policy mix, as you started with austerity. My response is smart fiscal policy that we should reopen. Now we need structural reforms, which normally everybody's reacting against structural reforms, but there is a serious, I think, concrete thing behind that. And we need much stronger instrument to finance growth without any doubt. But we need, first of all, the confidence back, and I think that the market confidence, we know how it matters strongly, we suffered because of lack of it. For the time being, we seem to have market confidence, but we might lose it, the market confidence in our capacity and propensity to enter into serious reforms. This can be again lost, and consequences will be very serious. And we need, this is the last word, we need also some of the bigger European member states have also to look seriously at what they can do, because they are very important for European economy. We hope all to see France intensifying reforms, and we also hope that once France intensifies its reforms, that we also see Germany really expanding its, sort of using fully its fiscal space, which there is fiscal space there for the policy that can help also Europe.
Thank you, Professor, for updating us. Now challenge number 4, this table. Marcin Nowicki, please tell us about the Eurozone.
Thank you. First of all, let me face you all with the right side of my body. It's the right to ask ourselves to level up the adrenaline, so I'll try my best. Our topic at this table is coherent Europe. And the question is how to keep the balance between the Eurozone and the other EU member states. Very important question. But to answer this question, to my mind, we must understand the context in which it is placed. And let me list some of the key main elements of this context. First of all, crisis. We have been fighting this fire since 2008, and with different results in different countries and different sectors. And it is very interesting to see what type of policy or mix of policies worked and what type has failed. This crisis has strengthened rather than reduced the democratic deficit within the EU. We have to see this challenge. It seems that when the forests are ablaze, there is no time to feel sorry for principles of democracy. It's not good, I think. Economic performance has remained lackluster, and amid growing political tensions and sharply deteriorated pro-European moods, and the severity of nationalisms across the whole Europe. We are experiencing the lack of strong, shared vision of our future, of our European future. It's somehow depressing that we need Putin to understand our weaknesses and start acting. It's really depressing, especially for Poland. We have been ignoring the competitive position of Europe in the global dimension for too long, definitely for too long. We still have holes in the single market. Some of them are deliberately kept by different states or different powers in the name of national egoism and new arise due to our lagging behind real challenges. For example, technological developments. The monetary union has never been fully implemented. The basic principles of the currency area are deliberately violated by different countries, both at national and EU level. We have failed so far to use the synergy potential of national economies. National and regional actions still are pushing us to quite cynical competition and jostling for national interests rather than cooperation. And this is just a part of our reality. Against this background, we must answer which road will be better. Is building new walls within the European Union in the name of institutional effectiveness to solve these tensions and deficits? Or is it only a vague hope that without a brand new vision of further integration and without the necessary institutional changes or reforms or reorganization, we will somehow manage once again to push our European project through the existing and future risks? I doubt. It seems that we have forgotten what integration was to be. Coherence is not the sameness, and certainly is opposite to national or sectorial particularisms. Coherence means the rational complementarity and synergy of different potentials. Coherence is understanding what the common European good is and should be. Euro as the European currency must be a vehicle to achieve this common European good and not the nail in its coffin. The only long-term solution is to keep everyone in the mainstream of integration. And our task at this table is to answer the question how to do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This was rather a political statement, I would say, and some summary of the situation. And finally, table number 5, Professor Verheugen, please give us a feedback about the common foreign and security policy, a very hot issue today, especially concerning the global situation.
Thank you. Does it work? I hope it's on. Okay. Thank you very much. What do I do? It's too early in the morning. Well, this one works. Good morning, everybody. The organizers have kindly invited me to elaborate a little bit the question of values versus interests. And of course, at first sight, we would say that there is no discrepancy. By the way, the Polish word for discrepancy the Polish word for future is one of the reasons why Poles always feel misunderstood. This cluster of consonants is frightening in such a way. Yeah, do you feel it? I do not try this way. Okay. This conflict between values and interests must not occur necessarily. I'm a living example for the other side. When we organized the Eastern enlargement, values and interests fell together. But of course, it will often happen that if we try to project our values and to pursue our interests, there will be a conflict, and I'm afraid that there are no rules how to behave in such a situation. At least there are different rules. It depends on whether the system of global governance would allow you to take action or not. I give an example, not a Russian one, but perhaps an even more important one. Sooner or later, you will have a strong democratic movement in China. Okay? It is beginning. Sooner or later, the Chinese rulers will crash it. Sooner or later you will have bloodshed then. So how will we react? Yeah? How will we react? Will we impose sanctions on China? Which kind of sanctions? Sanctions which China can easily escape. So just putting the question shows that there are, at the end of the day, no definite rules how we have to act. But for Europeans, the question is even more difficult. And that brings me to the core of the issue. Around the topic of European foreign and security policy, we have three questions. The first is, do we need one? Second is, do we have one? And the third is, if not, how can we achieve one? I think the question, do we need a common foreign and security policy, is already answered. We have it enshrined in the treaties. I should not forget that the treaty even foresees common joint armed forces. It's not forbidden. We can do that if we wish. And if you look in the future, and if we ask the question, what will be Europe's role in the world of tomorrow? Clearly that we do not want to be a global superpower, but we want to be treated as equals, and we want to have a place at the table, of the top table, where global decisions will be made. I do not believe that 196 members of the United Nations will make the global decisions. It will be a group of very, very few countries, and the question is, will Europe be one of them or not? So will others decide how we have to live, or will we decide how we live? So that we need a foreign and security policy. For me, it's beyond any doubt. Do we have that? The answer is also very clear, we do not. We have some elements of it, but we do not have a functioning foreign and security policy. Why? Because this really affects the core, the hard core of national sovereignty. And most analysts believe that a European foreign security policy will be the final element of the process of European integration. So if you get this, European integration is completed, and probably then it would be structure of a superstate or whatever. But until then, we need to live with the possibilities we have, and the reality in Europe is very, very disappointing, as everybody knows. And we shall discuss the reasons why. For instance, there's such a difference between the way how we could organize the enlargement of 2004 and 2007, and the way how we are dealing with the so-called Eastern Partnership, what we officially call Eastern Partnership. Why is the Eastern Partnership a source of problems and conflicts, and why was the Eastern Enlargement of 2004 and 2007 a peaceful and constructive result? Final question: how can we achieve foreign and security policy? Covers everything. It covers the question of the future of Europe. How do we organize that? I strongly believe that foreign and security policy that deserves its name requires a European governance system that is fully democratic. Yeah? Fully fledged democratic system, in my view, is a precondition. It will take some time, but nevertheless, we could step up our efforts. If I look at defense, for instance, what we are doing in Europe is ridiculous. We are spending 30% of the American defense budget, but the effect we get is less than 10%. We are destroying our defense industry because we are not able to organize common projects. Our defense industry exists only because in other regions of the world there is still the idea that we should have more than one supplier of defense, but not only the Americans, but very soon that will happen. So here it is politically and economically in our interest to organize integrated European defense policy and defense industry. That's something that we want to discuss, and I believe that can be achieved. European foreign policy is something that we can achieve only after a process of much stronger political and societal integration.
Thank you very much, Professor Verheugen. I think that's a high time to give us all a chance to have also breakfast. So let's say till 9:10 we have now time to eat and share the views. The tables, please. The leaders of the tables try to also take some feedback from the table mates, also from those people who are not specializing in the subject. And 9:10 we'll come back to the discussion with all of us. Also, please take into consideration the tables also can share the views among the tables. Once we finish eating, then we'll take mics and we'll also comment on all what has to be said, which was said, not only about the table issues, but also about the issues raised by the other tables. So please enjoy your meal first and enjoy your discussion. 15 minutes.